Hello, everybody. Welcome into the Casual Sports Podcast. I'm Alek Koberna. Matt, I saw what you were doing behind the backstage. So I'm Alek Koberna with Matt Morrison and Mike Wolfgang. March Madness in the full swing of things. And, folks, this has been madness so far. The Peacock of St. Peter's took down Oscar Sheboygan in Kentucky in overtime. They were a great game.
On St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, on St. Pat. It was the day of Saints. That's for St. Mary's comes away with the win. You get St. Peter's the win. And Notre Dame's game actually from the first four against Rutgers went into St. Patrick's Day. So they picked up a win technically yesterday too. So three big schools getting wins there. It's awesome. Right now, we're currently watching Loyola versus Ohio State. It's a great game. 11-point lead, I think, for the Buckeyes right now. And unfortunately, I picked the wrong 15 seed to win because Jacksonville State's down by 20 points right now to Auburn. They were in it close in the early stages, but the shots stopped falling for Jacksonville State, so they look like they're out of it. Other games on now that we're going to be talking about throughout this show. Texas Tech already running away from Montana State 24-7, and Yale and Purdue just tipped off. We wanted to see if the Ivy League has what it takes to pull the upset. Before we go ahead and get into the full swing of predicting round two matchups that we have thus far and looking back at yesterday's action, let's go into NASCAR the Atlanta 500 coming up this weekend. A little bit of weather in the area, though, so don't know how many races they're going to get in, if they can get all three of them from truck racing, Xfinity, and NASCAR, and hopefully weather holds off for it. But, guys, what do you have going to this one? A track that Ford has usually dominated. They were at a Ford-dominated track last week, and they come away with the win. Do you think Ford can get back up there in that win category again and can stay hot going into this race?
I mean, it looks like it. I mean, they've had success there before, so why not continue that? So, yeah. You might see me zone out a couple times. So
yeah, I got Ohio State.
I got them on back here.
Right there, and I also got it on my second monitor over here.
It's right here.
Yeah, this one's on a far delay, so if things get close down to the end, I'm turning around and talking about the rest of this podcast.
Take care of the ball, sir.
But, Mike, in this NASCAR race coming up this Sunday, as I just have to kick him out here so you can watch the game, what do you got going on from NASCAR? Do you think that these Fords are going to have the same speed they showed last week, or do you think they fall back down again? Because we only saw 1 week where this Ford group has had speed.
Well, I mean, again, because I'm not a huge NASCAR guy, do they normally have success at this track?
They've won 3 of the last 4 races.
Okay, so yeah, they have momentum on their side. Matt was talking about, it's doable, but like I said, I didn't watch last weekend, but yeah, I mean, I'm definitely gonna try to tune in some of these races. I need to start getting NASCAR, so we're talking about it. But
I like watching it. I like coming home and watching like the last 13 laps of it. It's nice because that's where all the stuff happens. It's those last 20 laps or so.
Well, currently as it stands, thanks to help from last week, Ryan Blaney and Chase Briscoe, 2 Fords, currently lead NASCAR in laps led, and it's not even close. Ryan Blaney on the season thus far has led 100 more laps than the third best driver.
He hasn't won.
Yeah, and he hasn't won. 2 top 5s, 2 top 10s, and 1 DNF. Just 1 stage win for him, though, despite leading NASCAR by far in all of the laps led.
It's going to come sooner or later.
Led the pack when it comes to laps led this season. A lot of those coming from that last race. Obviously, Chase Briscoe and other Ford getting that win last time out. But you haven't seen them put it together in the very end of it. I mean, you've seen obviously those 2 cars do fantastic. I mean, 4 top 5s between the 2 of them, and then you, for a while down this list, you got a couple more Fords scattered in there. But for the most part, I think there's a lot of Chevys that are really taking the field by storm, and especially if you underrated guys, Ross Chastain, obviously Kyle Larson, the guy everybody expects to do great this season. Tyler Reddick, who was up there in a potential win position a couple races ago. Then you got William Byron, Eric Jones, who made the switch from Toyota to Chevy, starting to find a little bit of a rhythm here. He's got 21 laps left in the season as well. He needs to get those points up, though. He ranks 19th out of the current drivers in the chase right now, but really, we have a great field this year. It might be one of the most mixed fields we've had as well. I think with these new cars they put into NASCAR, I think everyone's still trying to figure them out. And I think that's why these fields have been so wide open. So for my picks here, if you haven't tuned into our Friday shows when we pick NASCAR, we each get 3 picks. If one of our drivers wins, it is correct. If none of them wins, then it's incorrect. So for my 3, I'm going to go a back-to-back winner with Chase Briscoe. Don't know why. He's one of the best Ford
Just gotta
drivers.
throw it in there.
I think he's got a chance. If Ford's going to be strong like they have been at this track in the past, I think Chase Briscoe is going to be leading up there in the pack. I think he's got a great chance. Then I'm going to go with the hometown boy from up near you, Matt, Ryan Blaney. He car in those laps led by a long way. Sooner or later, he's have to put one in that win category. I think he gets a chance here. And then I'm going to go take one out of Chevy, and I'm going to go actually with Tyler Reddick. He was in a great position these last couple of races. I think he's got a good shot to potentially steal one here.
I mean, too. I'm sticking with the OG.
I got the odds up, Matt, if you need them.
I'm going to go Kevin Harvick. Okay, I'm going to throw Tyler Reddick in there as well, and Brian Blaney, because Brian Blaney's day is coming. It
has to come sooner or later. Yeah. Mike, who are you going with here?
I'm looking at the odds here. I'll
Denny
throw Reddick in there. Let me look at my other two. I'm gonna try to pick one you guys did not pick.
Pick Kyle Busch.
I was not looking at Kyle Busch, but I'll go Blaney, and then I'll go.
Denny Hamlin.
No, I'm trying to pick something that's different. Actually, you know, we'll go with Austin Cindric.
Okay.
All right, well, that does it here for NASCAR the Atlanta 500 coming up this Sunday, so long as weather permits. That's another big thing. This is something we've had to really deal with sports so far. I mean, through football and basketball, events weren't getting canceled due to weather. Now we got NASCAR, and if it rains, you might not be getting these races in as much as you would expect. But either way, Matt, let's get back into March Madness. Ohio State up by 14 right now. Although make it a dozen now as points go down for Loyola on the inside. But let's go ahead and take a look at what happened in yesterday's events before we start predicting what will happen in the second round. Gonzaga, they struggled against Georgia State for a good portion of that game. Second half, though, they put up some epic numbers, and they scored 58 points in the second half. And I think maybe one of the most impressive things here, I was writing this down as I saw the stat, with 11:52 to go in this game, the ball game was 56-54 in favor of Gonzaga. In those final 12 minutes, the Gonzaga scored 37 points and averaged over 3 points per minute during that stretch in the final stages of that. So I think Gonzaga kind of redeemed that first half where they really couldn't get anything going a little bit. What did you guys see out of Gonzaga? Do you still have as much confidence in your picks?
I never did.
You make that run. Really, in particular for you, Mike, since they're in your championship game.
Yesterday, I mean, they were down up 2 with 12 minutes left or something like that. Yeah. Just like that, they go up 20. So they and I know, Matt, you say whatever you want about them, but they show when they're in situations like that. Maybe not last year in the championship game, but they got there, they were undefeated. They get in situations like that, they're able to just turn it on, go up 20 against a Georgia State team that people were thinking hey, they might actually give Gonzaga a game coming into it. Maybe not win, but maybe at least make it challenging. But again, I like this year, maybe compare more to last year with Gonzaga. They have, Chet back there. So Timmy doesn't have to play as big as he did last year. And I think that's something Timmy said going into this tournament that was different than last year's team. Last year's team might have been more talented, but they got size up front where Timmy doesn't have to play out of position.
Yeah, that's for sure. And speaking of Chet Holmgren, he had a near triple-double in that game last night with 7 blocks, double-digit rebounds and double-digit points. And he's a walking double-double at this point. I mean, when you put his size in college basketball, it makes sense that he's able to do this. But I think he's got a lot of room to grow still, but he's a very talented guy. Definitely needs to put on some muscle to compete against the bigs at the next level. But when you're looking at him right now, looks perfectly fine where he is. Let's talk about their opponent then, Memphis and Boise State. That game was freaking awesome. Memphis up 38-19 at the half. Boise State crawls back into this game, and they only lose by 11 after a late run by Memphis. But, guys, Imoni Bates returned, and I said that was the X factor for Memphis in this game. If they could get Imoni Bates back, and they did, I think they got a great shot. I think they might even have a shot potentially against Gonzaga, especially with Imoni Bates back out there. I mean, this is a guy who's a double-digit scorer, and he's one of the top prospects coming out of high school basketball in one of these past few seasons. What do you guys think of Memphis going on now in this tournament after their big win against Boise State to open things out?
I mean, they're definitely going to give Gonzaga a problem. I really, truly believe that. That Zaga might get past them one more round, like they're going to be worn out after this round. I tell you that, and they're going to face another team just like Memphis and either Arkansas, whoever else is there, and I think that's where they're going to succumb. They got battled by a 16 seed. Yeah, they did pull out by 20 at the end, but they were battled that whole game. And if you push them, they're going to just fall apart. And plus, I think the Georgia State ran out of steam. You don't see Memphis running out of steam. Neither a team like Arkansas. So it's going to be different.
Mike, what do you thought on Memphis?
This matchup coming up or the game?
Either one, really. Go either way with it.
I mean, obviously, we don't know all the second round matchups yet because we still have a whole other day of the first round. But this is definitely one of the better second round matchups by far.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Memphis, like Matt, we were talking about them yesterday. That they're well coached, they have good athletes, and we'll see how that mixes with Gonzaga because we saw yesterday they had a little bit of issue with Georgia State. If Memphis comes in with their athletes and they want to get out and run, I mean, Gonzaga can do that too. But that could be a track meet for them. It might not work to their advantage.
All right, so let's go ahead and make our picks here. Unfortunately, since we all picked them, Gonzaga to make a semi-run for some of us. I mean, I think we pretty much all have them getting at least to the Sweet 16. Matt has them then losing before the Elite Eight. But going into this game, if you could, would anybody here switch their picks to Memphis over Gonzaga? Matt, I'll start with you.
I really want to, but I think they can. I think Zaga can sneak one more win in there.
Mike?
I'm rolling Gonzaga. They're in my championship.
Yeah, I know you're pretty much going there. I think it'll be close. I think if you have a great shot for a 1 seed to go down in the next round, it either comes here in the West or potentially down in the East. Baylor, UNC, I think might be the big upset we see next round because UNC is coming in absolutely flaming hot. But no, I think I'll stick with my Gonzaga pick here. They got the talent to do it. I'm interested to see if they can continue to put it together, especially against as hot of a team as Memphis is when – this is a team that they can score, but they haven't been. They're going to have to put on the Jets against Gonzaga in this game. And I think maybe one of the biggest things is people always talk, Gonzaga can score so much. No one can keep up with that. A lot of these teams are going up against better defenses, though, than what Gonzaga brings because it's such an up-tempo style of ball that they allowed 72 points from a 16-seeded squad. There are winning teams in pretty much every game that didn't score 70-plus points. So I think that does open the door a little bit, though. But let's jump into the next game. Potential one of these two could take on Gonzaga or Memphis in the Sweet 16. New Mexico State take on Arkansas. Both of my picks here actually lost. I took UConn and Vermont. I believe everybody here took UConn in their brackets as well. But New Mexico comes out with the win. They just had a perfect shooting night. Like, you always say you got to throw statistics out the window. That is exactly what they did coming into this game because their shooting numbers, they shot 60% from the outside in this game. They were coming into this one shooting. Oh, let me pull it up here. They have on the season, they averaged 32% from the outside in that game. They absolutely turned on the Jets in that game. That's why they came out with the win. In UConn, they couldn't get their shots going down. It was a really off night for them scoring. Even when they had open looks, their guys just didn't perform. So what do you think about New Mexico State now taking that spot away from UConn? Mike, we'll start with you this time.
Wait, this is the game I flipped to, remember? I flipped to New Mexico State. I changed my pick, remember?
Yeah, I remember.
And that part of the reason why is because of what I saw that I read online. They're a deep team. They use a lot of their guys. They almost go – they go 11 deep. That's almost their entire roster. So, you're throwing guys like that at UConn and some other teams they're going to play they're going to play Arkansas. Yeah, having fresh guys in this tournament, that's what you want, and guys that can come in and shoot. So,
you changed your pick on the show, not on your official bracket, though, so – you won't get the points for the New Mexico State win.
Well, on my other one that I have for money, I picked them, but so that's all.
All right. On the other hand, Arkansas just escaped Vermont. The Catamounts put up one hell of a fight, but they couldn't close it out. What do you guys think now of Arkansas getting into the second round? Do you think they will get upset by New Mexico State? And Mike, that one really directed towards you. Since
I can't have them be upset.
Wait, what was the question?
Do you think New Mexico State can pull the upset twice and take down Arkansas?
It's possible. I had Arkansas beating them.
This will be your official pick here since none of us had this matchup going on here. And Matt, you're the only one. You're the only one glued to Arkansas to the next round. So Mike and I are free to pick whoever. Mike, so I guess this opens the door for you. New Mexico State or Arkansas in this next round?
I have Arkansas moving on. to the Sweet 16. So
Okay.
I'm going to go that way. But again, anything
Yeah,
can happen. And like I said, with New Mexico State playing as deep as they are, they can at least hang with anybody.
I'm going to stick with Arkansas on this one as well. I think after that performance against the Catamounts, I think their defense is going to step up a little bit more in this second game, and I think they go off and have a good one tomorrow. It's an 8:40 game as well, so they get a bit of rest, especially after such a hard-fought game against Vermont. They're going to need it to get all the way down there, but that sets the stage up. Those are the only matchups I believe we have in the western part of the bracket for round 2. Over into our next game here to look at. Michigan versus Tennessee in the South. Our first teams that have punched their tickets to that round 2 out of the South region. Michigan, they pulled that upset. I didn't really think it was an upset, but they did it against Colorado State. First, let's talk about how bad the Mountain West has played thus far. I don't think you can have a lot of confidence right now in what San Diego State might put on the board because their other 2 competitors in conference play did not look great. Boise State goes down. Colorado State goes down. Do you see any chance that and obviously San Diego State goes down, pardon me, too. So big losses for the Mountain West. But how about Michigan's performance, man? We kind of talked about it yesterday. I thought that experience would come through, and it did, and they ended up taking up the win. Tennessee had an easy time against Longwood. They're one of those teams I think we all have projected to make some noise this tournament. We all have them going to the Elite Eight, although none of us have them making it out of the Elite Eight because we all like Arizona just a little bit more. What are you guys thinking now, Michigan versus Tennessee in this second round?
I think it's going to be a fun matchup.
Yeah.
I really do. And yesterday you were texting during the first half and saying Michigan didn't start out good at all. They really weren't making anything. And again, like you said, this is why I was back and forth. I originally had Colorado State, but my official pick, I picked Michigan. Because of their experience. And then we were talking about that. It matters. And Hunter Dickinson down low, he's hard to deal with. He's going to be hard for Tennessee to deal with, even though I think Tennessee's going to beat them. But they lean on their experience. In Colorado State, they came out. Matt, you were talking during the first half. They were shooting pretty well, and it didn't really last in the second half.
They were flat. So.
Yeah, well, I like Tennessee to take this game. We actually don't have Tennessee moving on, so we're stuck to those picks. So I guess I'll open the door. Would anybody rather flip this one over and take Michigan to pull an 11 versus 3 upset? Matt, you? Mike?
No, I'm staying with Tennessee.
I think it'll be a good game. Tennessee really too. They had such a strong game against Longwood to start out. I think that can carry over into day 2. And Michigan, they had a hard-fought game. I mean, I don't think you can deny that, but I think their luck runs out. And I think part of it is, these Big Ten teams, they never make it very far in these playoffs. If someone's going to do it, I got a feeling it might be Michigan. And I would love to see an Ohio State versus Michigan Sweet 16 matchup. That would just be absolutely awesome. But, I got two teams that need to make it through some gauntlets to get there. But, I'm going to stick with Tennessee in this game as well. So next one going here for us. Creighton versus Kansas. Both had some good matchups to start things off. Kansas absolutely took care of business against Texas Southern. Creighton, nail-biter against San Diego State. Matt, that was a San Diego State team that you liked, was it not? I mean, you had them go to that next round against Kansas.
I did, yeah. I did.
Too.
I did pick Creighton in one of my polls, but, I knew Creighton was going to give it to him, but, man, I was – kind of hoping for San Diego State, but that's March Madness.
Yeah, the Mountain West, they did really kind of fall apart though in this entire March Madness. I mean, those all 3 of their teams all got handed L's in that first round, so it sucks to see for them. But I mean, you can say they all had pretty tough matchups to start things out. So into this game, Kansas versus Creighton. We all have Kansas coming out of it, but if you guys could switch your picks, would you, Michael? Start with you. Would you potentially pull Creighton to pull this upset over Kansas?
I do not.
Matt?
No, I don't.
I'm going to stick with Kansas here, too. I mean, when you got a player the caliber of Okai Agbaji, I like Creighton. I don't think I like them enough to make that pick. They have a great record against top 25 teams. I mean, it's nearly the same as Kansas, and the defense a little better. But I think that offense of Kansas is just a little too hot right now. Coming off 83 points against Texas Southern, I think they're going to be staying hot in this tournament, and they're going to take this one too. So next game, an upset came for this one to happen. Richmond takes down Iowa. I had them moving on to this next round, but then I had them losing. Mike, you had Iowa losing in this round as well. And Matt, you had them advancing to the Sweet 16. What was your thoughts of that Richmond upset in that game yesterday against your team?
It's the Big Ten. I mean, they always fizzle out. I shouldn't have picked them that far, but there's something about Iowa. Keegan Murray didn't even do anything in this game. He needed to go off, and he didn't do that. Richmond was just, I mean, they were just on. They weren't there. They were the other. What division did they come out of? The Atlantic 10.
Yeah, they won the Atlantic.
Yeah,
who'd they beat?
Davidson.
Yeah, that's right. They beat a good Davidson team.
And now we get to see Davidson later tonight against Michigan State.
Yeah, so I expect Davidson to beat them. Honestly, I mean, it's pretty much the same. It's pretty much the same game.
Matt, to your point, though, about the Atlantic 10, your Ramblers and Loyola Chicago are moving out of the Missouri Valley and are joining the Atlantic 10 next season as well. So they're getting another big weapon down in that conference. Definitely one to start watching, I think, maybe a little bit more, especially if Richmond can pull another upset here and take down Providence. So let's go ahead and jump into that game. I am the only one that has to stick with their pick in this game because, Matt, you took Iowa to win it, and then Mike South Dakota State to win it. They fell to Providence yesterday. I'm sticking with Providence as my pick. Who do you guys think will take this one? Providence.
I think Providence.
I'm kind of tempted to go with Richmond here.
I mean, it's March. You got nothing to lose. They had a hot game coming off that first game. I don't see any reason why, you have to be so conservative and go, Providence, they're the better team. I mean, this is March. The better team does not.
There is no better teams.
And yesterday, you saw it with Richmond when they played Iowa. Number one, they weren't afraid of Iowa. And number two, they were just playing with so much confidence that, dribbling and making their, off the ball screens, everything they were doing, they were playing with confidence. And they actually looked like they were ready to be there. And Iowa wasn't, obviously. And I like the way Richmond's playing. I do. I like the way they played in their conference tournament and obviously carrying over to the first round of this.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. And maybe one of the biggest things that's keeping me on the side of Providence, they just played so tight defensively against one of the hottest shooting team in all of basketball and the Jackrabbits. And I mean, they held the Jackrabbits to 30.4% from downtown, just 38% overall. They didn't shoot the ball great either, but they out-rebounded. They didn't really have that many turnovers, and they really were in control of this game pretty much the entire way through it. I mean, they led the entire second half, and they led every moment after the first 10 minutes in this game when it was tied 17-17 at 9:45 in that first half of action. So I think Providence comes out. I think they take another one. I think they're a strong team. As I said, they're kind of one of those teams I've really liked all season long. Do I think they can then pull an upset against Kansas if Kansas can get there? I'm not sure on that one. I think this is a team, though, that has Sweet 16 written all over it. So I got Providence. I'm sticking with my pick. Well, Mike, officially, Richmond or Providence? Who are you taking?
I'm going to go with Richmond.
Okay, I like it. Well, how about this one? Baylor versus UNC. I have Baylor winning. Mike, you have Baylor winning. And Matt, you have Baylor winning in this game. You had them actually taking it over Marquette. Marquette got stamped yesterday, man. 95-63. Yeah,
Mike,
that was an absolute decimation of the game.
I had Marquette?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's funny.
That game wasn't even close.
No,
they're
an absolute runaway. So we all have Baylor winning this game on our brackets, regardless of who they went up. But after that first round, do you guys feel like maybe you should be switching your pick over to UNC? Matt will open the door for you on this one first.
I mean, I didn't even remember me picking Marquette. I picked North Carolina in all my polls. I mean, North Carolina, they're a heck of a team. They could pull up an upset here. So, but I'm going to stick with Baylor.
Mike?
I'm going to roll with Baylor too because I got them going a little bit further. But I'll tell you what, UNC, the way they played against Duke in that last game and this opening round here, it wasn't even close. So, I mean, they're talking about team playing with confidence. They're one of them right now. So at least makes you wonder.
Yeah, definitely. And with that Marquette team, it wasn't a team I necessarily liked coming into this March Madness bracket either. I mean, they finished inside of the Big East. They kind of fizzled out. Yeah, as Matt was, I think, trying to say there as I was talking. Yeah. But, I mean, UNC, they went hot in all the right areas, and Manning goes off for 28 points. And really everything UNC did was great in that game. And Marquette, I think, was just – they were at the end of a long season. It was a rough road for them, and they just – it looked like they finally got tired in that second half, running through a very tight Big East all the time. But in this game, I'd almost say take the upset here with UNC, but with the way Baylor can play defense, I think that might be the biggest thing that separates these two teams, because they both score the same amount offensively in these games. But you look at the defense of Baylor, they've allowed just 64 points per game on the season. UNC allows near 72. And Baylor, they don't have an outside shot that'll rival UNC, but I think they can do it well enough that I think they can stick in this game from the outside. And to me, LJ Cryer not being in that game last night speaks volumes, because if he can't come back for this game against UNC, I think it really opens the door for that UNC upset.
It's definitely possible.
There was a lot of talk, though, that he was – I don't know if he was dressed or not, but they were definitely talking about that he was going to be healthy enough to take on that next game. But, you know, the fact that he didn't get any minutes in that first game, I mean, I would have given him 5 or 10 just to make sure he could have taken that contact. So I think that's the one thing that worries me. Baylor's top scorer might not play 100% in this game, or even for his whole minutes. I mean, if you get a minutes restriction on him, I think it opens the door potentially as Ohio State moves on to the second round over Loyola Chicago. Yeah. Man, I know you liked your Ramblers, but a great season for them nonetheless. But
absolutely, and I like this Buckeyes team. I like this Buckeyes team too. I kind of want to have them make a run. Honestly, I'd love to see that. Even if my bracket.
Hey, hopefully we'll get them playing Villanova next round.
Yeah, that'd be sweet. Awesome. Buckeyes Nova, that'd be sweet.
Yeah, that'd be one of the games you definitely got to watch out for, because it doesn't get any better than Ohio State and Nova, man. That's awesome right there in my book. But let's go ahead and jump down into our next game, since we're all sticking Baylor's. St. Mary's, the Gales, showed out in the first round against Indiana, a near 30-point win. Now they have UCLA, who got stuck to it by Akron in that last game. And underneath my Buckeye shirt here, I'm still repping Akron underneath.
That game was sweet.
Yeah, got to rep the Zips in that game. Awesome performance from them. I mean, forcing that game down to the wire the way they did. All credit goes out to what that team was able to do. UCLA got some lucky shots to fall down at the end, and
and there were some fouls
mauling, and maybe some controversial calls, but at the same time, I mean, you got to give credit to UCLA. And as much as I wanted Akron to win, my bracket stays intact because UCLA comes out.
Me too. And there were some controversial calls in the Iowa game, too. Even the commentators, the 2 missed calls. The foul on the 3, and then the foul on the
That was a bad one, too. That was egregious.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't get any more by the book than that.
I know. Like, it was bad. They pretty much screwed their opportunity to win the game.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely iced it pretty much. But our next game here, we're talking UCLA and St. Mary's. What are your guys' thoughts coming into this one? I have UCLA coming out on top. Mike,
I do too.
You have St. Mary's, and Matt, you have UCLA winning.
Yeah, I get UCLA. I like UCLA. St. Mary's is a good team, but it's that division. It's just that same division as Gonzaga coming out of it. I'm not happy about it. I know you guys can think different, but I'm not happy. I'm not big on that conference. No.
I'm not huge on it either, but
I know.
I mean, you guys.
San Francisco lost last night, so.
Well, yeah, they put in one heck of a performance to lose, though. I mean, they were
they did. They did. I'm not saying they're going to get blown out or anything. It's going to be tough games. Same thing with Gonzaga. I don't think you could ever see Gonzaga get blown out by 20. They're going to be there to the end. But it takes a team to battle to the end like that. And I think UCLA is more battle contested. They went through much more. I mean, they've been through a lot of crap during their season. They were up and down. Now they're here. Not a lot of people have high hopes for them. And, I think they're going to pull it out. They'll pull out a couple.
Okay.
I'm rolling St. Mary's.
Okay, well, what's your reasoning there for St. Mary's and not flipping that pick? What do you see out of St. Mary's after that Indiana game that you still got confidence in that?
I like the way they played against them, and we were talking yesterday about going up against a Big Ten team. They pretty much beat them in pretty handily for St. Mary's standards. So
You know how I feel about Big Ten teams.
I like the way, yeah, that's true too. But I like the way they came down the season too, getting that win late against Gonzaga. I know they lost them in the conference tournament, but they're, like that game they won against Gonzaga. They're another team that plays with confidence and play together, and then they have what it takes to beat a team like UCLA. I'm not guaranteeing it, but that's what I'm picking.
I think that's a fair statement. I mean, after that first round, it's hard to say St. Mary's isn't going to be the hotter team coming into this game. The one thing for me, though, UCLA has kind of shown when it comes down to the wire this season, they can get it done in quite a few of these games. So I definitely think this one comes down to a close finish. I think you got to continue to give that edge to UCLA. One, because I think they got the talent to do it. I mean, when you got guys out there like Johnny Uzang as your leader, and then you got 2 or 3 other guys that might have a future in the G League or the NBA. You definitely got some extreme talents. I think that shows out the most at the end of games, like you saw against Akron. I mean, it came down to the final few shots, and they have the guys that can finish that out. I think that's the biggest thing for UCLA. They have finishers on that team. The one thing that does concern me is they couldn't get that offense rolling at all against Akron's defense last night. I think St. Mary's is going to game plan similar. The only thing, I don't think St. Mary's is going to have enough time to game plan for that one into the next round. I think UCLA, they got a little bit more head-on-head talent, because at this point, it pretty much is. You got to have the better talent, because you might not have time to game plan for this second round, which I think is why we see so many upsets going into the second round. Is teams they don't have any time to prepare. They're coming in exhausted for the second weekend or the first weekend matchup. So I like UCLA to carry it on a little bit. Better shooting from the outside, but not much that really separates these two statistically in really any stretch. I mean, you give a little bit better defense to St. Mary's, but a little bit better offense to UCLA. And I think maybe the offense is the one thing that concerns me for St. Mary's. Yeah, they had a good shooting night against Indiana, but can they carry that over? Because they're a team that didn't even average 70 points of offense this season per game. And you got UCLA who can come out here and average 76. That's the one thing for me. And then you've got to watch out for with St. Mary's is if that offense starts slumping.
Yes.
But I stick with my UCLA pick here.
Yeah, me too.
Well, let's go ahead and move down into the biggest upset of the weekend thus far. St. Peter's pulls the wool over the eyes of Kentucky, 85-79 to win it. What did you guys think of that finish and that game in total?
Well, I saw it on TV last night at some restaurants, and I was like, what the heck? Because I had – obviously Kentucky winning, and I had them, giving the 18.5.
Losing in the championship, but I was rooting for St. Pete's.
Yeah, we know. It's always good to see upsets.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But
I think the world got introduced to Doug last night.
Doug Eater.
Doug Eater. The dude hitting 30-footers. I'm like, where'd this dude come from?
Yeah, man. He definitely was a special talent in that game last night. But I think you got to give some credit to Kentucky's Oscar Tshiebwe, man. 30 points and 16 rebounds in this game. The SEC Player of the Year definitely showed up to play in this one. Unfortunately, it felt like his teammates, they didn't show up in this game, didn't take it seriously, because Tshiebwe was out there on every play, going 100%. I think you felt some of the other guys maybe slacking off a little bit, not giving it their all, like I think you would have liked to see at this state of the tournament. I mean, you got to know you're in a position that you might get upset, especially as a top seed. For the other team, this is their championship game, and St. Peter's just took home the gold. Well, Kentucky gets knocked out of the playoffs. Whatever happens for St. Peter's now is a consolation cherry on top prize, because they weren't supposed to be here now, and they're going to have a fun matchup in the next round. But what do you guys see a potential run for St. Peter's here? Well, what's the most damage they can do?
I mean, with next matchup coming up, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, they got Murray State, and I got Murray State winning it in this game. You guys are both free to pick whoever you want, though, since you had Kentucky advancing past this round 2 into the Sweet 16. Do you guys think Murray State or St. Peter's will take
that role of St. Peter's?
I'm going with St. Peter's, man.
You're going Peacocks?
Heck yeah.
There's no safe picks in March Madness, but I'm gonna take what it should be viewed as a safe pick with Murray State.
Personally, I still like Murray State. I mean, maybe one of the most crazy things about this game is the amount of people that picked either one of these teams to potentially win it. Murray State, 10% of users picked them to win at this stage of the playoffs. St. Pete, still just 1% to win this game. So
Really?
no one expected them to be here. No one expected them to get past Kentucky. I'm upset I took the wrong 2 versus 15 matchup. I knew one was happening. I knew it was going to be on the bottom side of the bracket, but I picked the wrong side.
2% of people picked St. Peter's.
Yeah, their numbers jumped up just before the final tick.
Yeah.
But, I mean, just talk about the fantastic finish for them on the season. I mean, 9-1, and now you throw in a win against Kentucky in there. They're definitely putting the nation on notice here, the Mid-Atlantic, and what maybe could be coming out of this in the next couple of years. I mean, I'd like Murray State to do this. I mean, I still think they're one of the top teams, most underrated teams. And when you look at that record, 31-2, undefeated in the Ohio Valley, I don't know if anyone's going to be standing up to them the way that St. Peter's did to Kentucky. As much as I like the Peacocks' Cinderella run, I think it comes to an end against the Racers from the Ohio Valley. I like Murray State still. I'm not going to flip my pick just because St. Peter's got lucky against Kentucky. I think Murray State comes in. They got just as much of a chip on their shoulder as St. Peter's does. So I think, they both come in, see eye to eye, and I think the better teams comes out on top, and I think that better team is Murray State. But I don't think you can throw out immediately the historical value of what we just saw at St. Peter's. Numerically, this is the biggest upset in the history of college basketball. Some would say, what about the 1 versus 16 UMBC upset? Well, if you look at it, Kentucky spends 10.5 times more money on their basketball program a year than St. Peter's does. UMBC in Virginia spent 4.5 times as much as UMBC.
I saw that TikTok you sent.
Went from here to here, and there's a big difference between what's going on. And I mean, St. Peter's is playing in a high school gymnasium, basically, is what their stadium looks like, while Kentucky's got a massive arena. So this may have been the biggest upset in the history of college basketball when you look at, how much these teams are spending and what the outcome of this game was.
Yeah, the difference between both of them.
Oh, yeah.
So I got Murray State. Matt, you're flipping over to St. Peter's. Mike, are you rolling with Murray State? I believe you said? Okay, yep. Cool. Well, going on here into games we don't have – yes, Auburn is winning. Into games that we don't have somebody yelling in my window.
Wait, what?
Someone was yelling in my window. Auburn's winning. They're up 71-56 right now over Jacksonville State with 5:20 to go. Other games in progress. Texas Tech up 52-22. Yale and Purdue still in a 10-point ball game, though. What?
Who the heck is that?
Spread? Best spread? Guys, who we got best spread going on in this game? In any of these games?
I don't know.
This guy yelling in my window has got a 3-team parlay. Arizona 8.5 over.
Ask me, I can't pick anything.
Yeah, I don't gamble either.
I can't pick anything.
You can't even pick your nose.
Sure, you don't want my advice.
Yeah, don't go to Mike for picking games in. Okay, well, the guy is gone. Got to get back to what we were doing here. Yes, I'm just kind of rattled for a second, but okay, let's get back into this. Got to stop doing this stream with my window open. People give me the funniest looks.
Really?
Ohio State punches their ticket. Most likely we see Villanova advance to that round of 32 as well against it. Mike, you would have Villanova coming out on top. Matt, you actually had Loyola moving on, so you get a free pick here on who you want. I, of course, have my Buckeyes taking down Nova, advancing against Tennessee. Matt, so with the open look here, who would you rather be, Villanova or Ohio State?
I want Villanova. I'm going to roll with the Buckeyes, though, just to roll with them.
Okay.
It's about time they won in the first round.
Well, here's the thing about Ohio State. In the last 3 seasons, actually I think now 4, depending on how this one goes, they have lost in either the first or second round in their last 3 seasons. If they lose here again, it'd be 4 in a row, all under the tenure of Chris Holtman.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. So he needs to make a statement.
Yeah, he does. Mike, you'd have Nova taking down Ohio State in the second round. Any chance to flip that here, or what are you still seeing out of Nova? Well, what do you potentially see out of Nova as their game starts here in about 5 minutes?
Well, I mean, yeah, like you said, it's most likely going to happen, but we don't know. I had him beating Loyola, so I'm obviously going to stay with that, even though they could end up playing Ohio State. But I'm going to stay with Villanova, but I don't know. I mean, now that Ohio State actually moved on, maybe they're going to feel some confidence and, think, hey, we could beat some people. But
They finally got over that first round hump of last year, man.
They did, especially from last year too. But
I mean, they were playing.
Yeah, they needed that so bad.
Here's one of the things. This is one of the most predicted upsets was Loyola over Ohio State. I mean, it was just a 7-10, but 51% of users picked Loyola to beat Ohio State. They were getting counted out because, yeah, historically they just couldn't get it done in this round.
I picked Loyola to win, and you guys know why I did it. I said it on the show Wednesday.
I like them. I've always liked them.
Well, it's not anything liking them. It's just I thought they would win, and I didn't really trust Ohio State in the first round, and we all agreed to that. But it just felt like I picked them, but it felt like everybody was like hyping it up too much. Like Loyola was going to beat them. Maybe that's why Ohio State won, because as a higher seed, nobody was really giving them that much of a chance. I don't really know why, but
what do you keep looking at back there?
Basketball.
What game's on?
The wrong one.
I got Purdue on.
I got the Purdue game on.
The Auburn one on, but it's a runaway. I was trying to.
Yeah.
I'm pressing the buttons on the remote while not looking at the screen, thinking I got the right channel. So.
Well, take your time and do it. Change the channel.
Nah, it's fine. We're talking basketball here.
We're trying to watch basketball too.
Yeah, we're trying to watch it too.
Well, potential next matchup here is Auburn. Looks like they're going to close this one out and ruin my potential upset here. I got Auburn taking on USC potentially. None of these tickets have really been punched. I think you can pretty much hand Auburn their game, though, 71-55 over Jacksonville State. There's 5 minutes to go. As much as I would love to see the comeback, I don't think it's going to happen as I finally get it over to the right channel. But what do you guys see, Mike? You would have Miami going up against them instead of USC. That game will start right after we end the podcast during Power Hour at 3:10. Matt, you also have USC, so we predicted those games. We all have, well, you guys both have Auburn moving on. I had Jacksonville State making the Sweet 16 run. It's not going to happen, unfortunately, but if I was to flip my pick back, I think I'd be giving this one to Auburn. They had such a strong performance here, and they got arguably the best player in the nation, Jabari Smith, at the helm. So I think avoiding that upset in round one would flip this one back over, and I think I can take Auburn.
I got Miami, and they're my Power 5, like lower seed that I had making a run this year, kind of like UCLA last year. I actually have them going to the Elite 8. I got them beating Auburn. Okay.
So are you going to stick with that pick, though? You like Miami still? So long as they can get past USC.
I do. Yeah, if they win that, yeah.
So how about this one is, covering all bases here. If USC was to take down Miami, would you then flip it to Auburn?
I might actually flip to Auburn. I like USC a lot, but I know that covering college basketball all year, they've kind of been up and down. And Miami's kind of been the same way, but it's Miami's. Miami was a team last year in the ACC that wasn't. They're kind of building to get here. USC was just kind of up and down all year, and I kind of like the way Miami's closed out the season. And like I keep saying when I make these picks, I try to go with teams that are hot coming in, because that really matters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that's got to matter at some point here, but it looks like Auburn's going to steal that one. Matt, I guess I'll flip this around to you on the other side of this question, since you have USC winning. If Miami was to pull this upset in round one over USC, would you give any consideration to maybe pulling a second round upset as well with Miami over Auburn?
No.
Okay. You have Auburn moving on no matter what. At this point, I think I got that
team. I think Auburn's a solid team. I think they're actually a sleeper to, maybe win the whole thing. You never really know. Tennessee's another one too.
They got the guy to do it, man. They got their leader.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're well coached.
Oh yeah, I like Bruce.
Well, that's all we got going on here for college basketball. So I guess we can continue to look at this, some long-range forecasts, some other potential matchups going on in the next round. I mean, we still got a long way to go. Arizona, TCU, what do you guys think of a potential matchup there? Either that or Arizona versus Seton Hall, or if we see the upset, might have Wright State in there.
I think TCU, if they win, the same thing with Seton Hall, they're going to struggle with each other. There's no way either of those teams are going to match up to Arizona. They're going to struggle to try to beat each other.
All right. Well, if you have an Arizona versus Seton Hall round of two, I'll let some viewers in here behind the scenes with Seton Hall. I know somebody that picked Seton Hall to win the whole damn thing. So
Was it Abby?
Responsible.
Huh? No, it was my mother.
Abby? Your mom?
My
Oh
mom
my
picked Seton
goodness!
Hall to take the whole
Hey,
thing.
Did you help her, or did she do it all on
Nope.
her own?
She did that all on her own. I was talking to this morning, and I went, "You picked what now?" So I might be having to call later to apologize if Seton Hall can do something.
I'm just curious. Who
Didn't
does she
Abby
have?
pick Ohio State to win the whole thing?
Huh?
Didn't Abby pick the whole?
Yeah, my
thing?
fiance picked Ohio State to win.
Ohio
the
State.
championship. Yep.
I'm just curious. Who was your mom's Final Four teams? You know.
I don't know. She told me Seton Hall, and I was just like, "All right, we don't need to talk anymore."
Good talk.
Yep. But no, I mean, realistically, I mean, I think Arizona probably long range forecast. They have the highest ceiling in my book still. If you're looking at a team to make that Final Four and eventual championship run, I think Mike, it's your championship game right now that I think probably is the easiest outcome. Gonzaga versus Arizona. I really like that championship game. Baylor versus Arizona, Matt, the one you have. I'm not super high on that. I'm not sure if Baylor's going to get through this absolute gauntlet of an East. I mean, if they get through UNC, then they either have St. Mary's or UCLA. If they get through that, then they either have Purdue, Murray State, or St. Peter's. I mean, it's a gauntlet to get out of this East. I think whoever comes out of this East is going to lose in the Final Four because it's going to be a freaking gauntlet to run through. That's at least in my book. I got Texas Tech taking on Arizona in my championship game, and Texas Tech just ran the wheels off of
they're killing them.
Today. They had a good, strong game against
Montana State. It's
still going on right
now.
now.
They're at halftime.
Yeah. And they got a hearty lead, 52-25.
Yeah.
Purdue started to pull away as well from Yale, 46-31.
You know, I was kind of tempted to pick Yale, but some of these Ivy League teams, they just don't do anything in the tournament.
If it was Princeton, I mean, I think you got to give it a little bit more of consideration with how great they played, but Yale gets in here instead.
Yeah.
Well, I guess to this point, give you guys some redemption since you each have. Well, actually, Mike here will give you some redemption because you're the first guy to have lost a Final Four team. What are your thoughts here? Who would you rather see in there now from the East now that Kentucky is gone? It opens the door for you for a new potential Final Four team. If you were to take anybody else now, you basically get the best chance of getting there right because your field's been almost cut in half already. The only ones that we don't know yet are Vatech, Texas, and Purdue. But Purdue looks like they're going to get in there. So,
you know, I mean, I feel like the not easiest, but seeding-wise, easiest option is probably Baylor. I don't know. I don't really I still don't really trust them that much.
I'm thinking between Baylor and UCLA. Maybe Virginia Tech.
I think I'm going to go Virginia Tech.
Maybe.
Vatech to be your Final Four. Okay.
I think so.
I'm
going to try to be ballsy here. I'm not going to. I picked Gonzaga, Arizona, and Kansas on the other three.
You got 31 seeds.
I got to pick somebody different. So, and again, I kind of look at Virginia Tech the same way as I looked at Miami on the other side. A lower seeded Power 5 that I want to make a run, that can make a run, and I'm gonna go with them.
All right, I like the pick. So currently, right now, teams that have already been eliminated from our Sweet 16s. After Matt, you had Loyola in yours, so I guess I got to add that one to your list. Me, the only Sweet 16 team I have lost thus far was Vermont. I had them making in there a little bit of a Sweet 16 run. Other than that, my Sweet 16 is entirely intact still. Mike, you've lost UConn, Kentucky, and South Dakota State from your Sweet 16. And Matt, you have lost Kentucky, Iowa, and now Loyola. What are your guys' thoughts? Who potentially can take those spots, or what do you think of your teams now that they're done for the season?
Matt, go with Loyola.
Honestly, I don't even remember picking them that far in this pool. Loyola, I had them lose the next round to Nova. But I don't know.
You didn't.
I don't know. I just forget. Well, at least in these polls, I did.
Well, not the one you filled out, so.
I got so many polls, I don't even remember which one I did.
I don't even remember. Yeah, I don't even remember. I got like 5. But I don't know. They got a tough season, but I mean, they lost to a good team. I mean, Ohio State's a good team. Ohio State may get to the Sweet 16. If they can get past Villanova, they have a good chance.
All right.
beat a
Well,
couple
at the
more
midway
teams.
point of day 2 of the tournament, the standings sit like this. I am currently in first place with 12 points, with a max of 185 points remaining potentially for me. There's a total of 192 points available at the beginning of the tournament. So I've only lost 7 points in total so far. Mike, you are in second place currently with 11 points, 168 points on the table, potentially still for you. And Matt, you are in third place right now with just 10 points, but your maximum point outcome, if you get the rest of your games right, would still be higher than Mike's. So you guys both got chances there, and obviously it's still so early on. The first round, it doesn't really matter. So once you get down to that Sweet 16, those points start just absolutely flying off the board if you can get those late round picks right.
Yeah, we'll see.
But let's go ahead and move on here into the NBA to wrap up the show. Guys, we got the Clippers taking on the Jazz. And what I think should be a pretty good game because the Clippers seem to be finding a little bit of a rhythm. They're kind of up and down, but I feel like they're starting to solidify maybe a little bit more. Obviously, being the best team in LA, I think you have to start looking at them a little bit more often since they've continually overtaken the Lakers. I mean, they have the season series. They've lost 2 straight games. Utah Jazz, though, they're just 6-4 in the last 10. But I think this is now the next team we have to talk about, especially if Golden State starts falling out of the running here with Steph Curry's injury the other night. Still listed out as indefinitely until we know more about that. I think you have to consider Golden State a team to start overlooking in these years' NBA playoffs because I mean, if you get rid of a player like that, I mean, I think it does eliminate a team's chances at glory when you got a team like the Suns in first place, the Grizzlies dominating in second place, and now the Mavericks and the Jazz both on their way up. Not to mention the fact that the Nuggets are catching fire as well, and the Timberwolves are 9-1 in their last 10 games. This top 7 of the Western Conference is heating up, and the one thing for the Warriors, they're going to get a good playoff seed potentially here, so long as they can hold on in the final week or so of the regular season. But what do you guys think of the Jazz taking on the Clippers in this game and long-term forecast for either one of these teams?
I mean, I think with Utah, they're another team that we kind of not looked at too much this year because kind of what they've done in the playoff or the last couple of years, they're hot in the regular season, they kind of fall apart in the playoffs. Yeah. They're a team to look at here, and you know, with Steph Curry stuff, like you said, they have a chance to move up to third. I mean, he could be back for the playoffs, they're saying, but we don't know that, and you know, obviously the severity of it. But then, obviously, with the Clippers, what I said the other night when they played the Cavs, they're a scrappy team, and to me, I put them in that category in the playoffs that you know most teams shouldn't want to play, especially if they get healthy at the end.
Yeah, I agree.
Who would you pick in this game, Mike? Clippers or Utah?
I think I'm going to go Utah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Matt, what about you? Thoughts?
I'm going to go Clippers. I think they're a solid team. You know, Cavs that beat them the other night. Cavs have been up and down. But, I mean, so have the Clippers. And, you know, they can be good teams. I think they can beat Utah. So I'll go on that side.
I'm going to stick with Utah on this pick. I like them, and I think right now is the time to capitalize for them with the injuries to Steph Curry. Now, sometime you can build up some ground on Golden State. So I think they see the door opening wide right now with Steph Curry gone. They still sit a couple games back there, but I think if they got any chance to make a run, get some better seeding, it comes right now with Steph Curry in the uncertainty zone right now with Golden State. So I think Utah has a good shot here. I like what the Clippers have been doing, man. They seem to be up and down a lot, but I think if you get this team a little bit healthier and give them some rest, especially going to the playoffs, I think they become a dangerous squad with the way we know that they can play.
Yeah.
And over into the NHL here, Panthers versus the Ducks. I'm taking the Florida Panthers to win this game. They're the best team by my differential standards, so that's where I'm rolling in this one. I picked this one because I know we all kind of like the Ducks just a little bit.
I'm going Panthers because they're definitely one of the best teams in the league.
I'm going to go Panthers, too, just because of that. They're a heck of a team.
That they are. So that does it for our picks here today. You have heard just about every pick I think we can make this week. So that leaves us down just a couple more things to go. Highlight of the week. Matt, I know you got one of these lined up. What's your highlight of the week so far?
So yesterday, what was it? It was the Indiana cheerleaders. They got up in their formation to get the ball stuck out of the hoop. And I'm like, that's awesome. You know, I was watching that last night. Yeah, and the commentator was calling it too. He's like, "They got it."
Well, he was saying
Mike,
before,
what
he's
about
like, let's get the cheerleader up there. Let's try
yeah,
that.
Yeah, he mentioned it. And then
Mike, what's your highlight of the week here?
Since I got my pirate hat on, I'll be last week getting baseball back on track. Because it was
Definitely-
middle of last week, but I wasn't here last week, and
Yeah.
so
Fair enough. Well, I got to go ahead and give it to my team finally winning in the first round. I got the one on there. Ohio State takes down Loyola. I got to give my big one there, but I got a couple, man. I mean, Cardinal Mooney making it down to the Elite Eight was absolutely epic to call down there. Akron pulling it next to the upset against UCLA, and then St. Peter's pulling that upset against Kentucky. It's been one hell of a week for basketball, high school and college, and it's been a lot of fun, I think, for all of us here at YSN and on the Casual Sports Podcast to watch sports this week, because we've seen some absolutely epic moments already, and still a long ways to go here in the tournament. It's going to come by quick, but we got a long ways to go. So, with that being said, hope Matt's ready for this one.
I
Because
got one. I thought of something.
the end of the week.
All right, I just thought of this like a minute ago. How about the Cleveland Browns?
Thank you.
that's a good one. Alek.
Because, man, are you serious? I mean, what they're doing with Baker Mayfield, like, is totally bullcrap. I mean, the guy led you to a playoff win just a year ago.
Well, Matt, that's not even the thing. They're not probably not going to get Deshaun Watson, and now
No,
he wants to trade.
No, they're not. They're not.
So
it's come down to the
I mean, what are you going to do
Falcons.
now?
It's going to come down to the Falcons. I think the Saints. So
Yeah.
they're out of that, and he wants out of there. And
And they've denied
no
his trade
to
request as well.
He's just going to sit
Mess.
out. He's just going to sit out.
It's a mess of a franchise, and I'm part of it. And it's wonderful being a Browns fan. And man, just as you see a little bit of a bright light, maybe at the end of a tunnel, you just get punched in the face, and then the only lights you're seeing are the hospital ones above you. But
you almost see that light, right? The light's right there. You almost see it. Then all of a sudden, Mike Tyson comes into the tunnel.
That's honestly kind of what it feels like. I mean, I don't like the way they handled this whole Baker Mayfield situation. And maybe one of the biggest things that have come out of this as of right now is the complete flip of the media and the fans. Talk about the complete flip of this. During the regular season, all anybody can talk about, OBJ is free. He got out of Cleveland. Woohoo. He doesn't have Baker Mayfield as a quarterback. Baker's terrible. The media is yelling that. The fans are yelling that everywhere. Now we're in the offseason, and Baker's requesting his trade out of Cleveland. Everyone goes, oh, man, he deserves to get away from Cleveland. He's such a good quarterback. He's in the wrong system. He's in this and that. And all the questions about him being a bad quarterback are ultimately thrown out.
It's sports media, man. They talk both sides.
And now it's a completely different storyline because he wants out of Cleveland.
Yep. That's how it is.
And I just can't help but laugh at this entire situation. Just like, he's going to be the same quarterback no matter where he goes. I don't think the system is that big of a problem for a player like Baker Mayfield, because he is kind of an all-around type guy. I don't think he is a system quarterback. I think he can pretty much do what he does in any system that's designed around him. So this whole situation has definitely been annoying. And, you know, it's upsetting to see Cleveland getting back to this to this quarterback carousel once again. I mean, whether it'll be Case Keenum as their starter, if they can repair things between Baker, which it seems unlikely at this point, or they draft another quarterback, all I can say is, Browns fans, at least we got a win over Pittsburgh in the playoffs. We got that. Hold on to that for the next 20 years, because it might be the only one we ever get again. So that'll do it here. Sad note to end the week, the Browns being the Browns, but at the end of the day, Browns will probably still be the worst team in the AFC North. So that does it here for the Casual Sports Podcast. March Madness in the full swing. Let's hope for some more upsets. I'm Alek, Koberna. That's Matt Morrison and Mike Wolfgang. Enjoy your weekend. Watch some basketball, and we'll see you next week.
Yep.